Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by X Insurance. X Insurance. From the Sig Sauer Studios. On the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone. Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now here in the 6 Hour Studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here in front of the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone at the ranch. It's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing?
Not too bad. Here we are, Wednesday, top of the hill.
It is the top of the hill, isn't it? It is also garbage day at the ranch. Today we're going to Google gun control live on the air and see what pops up. I have a guess what story is going to pop up. We'll see if I'm right once we do that. But before we get cracking with our guest Ryan Petty, would you tell people where to watch us on social media? For some reason, X is not running our stream today. Don't know why, but you can watch us on Facebook as well at facebook.com/Armed American Radio. And Greg, you can tell them where else to catch that stuff in the chat, and we'll get cracking.
Sure. Additional places to watch the show going to be on YouTube and Rumble. Just search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. If you want to join our live chat, download the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Let's get going. Ryan Petty, Parkland Dad. How you doing, my brother? Welcome in on a garbage day at the ranch on a Wednesday. Ryan, how are you, brother?
Hey, I'm good, and it's garbage day here, too.
Oh, is it really? You have Wednesday garbage day? I didn't know that. How come I never knew that?
We do.
Well, I don't know. I don't know whose fault that is. Maybe that we'll blame that on Greg for not knowing that it was garbage day at your ranch as well, too. And you actually have a ranch.
I think everyone with the ranch has garbage day on Wednesdays.
You have a ranch?
Federal law?
I'm not as grandiose as you, meaning
I'm
John
not
Lott.
quite as grandiose as you.
Oh, there's Dr. Lott throwing it at me. He just can't, he never misses a beat. He's got a great story out that we'll be covering probably later in the week or maybe Sunday. We'll see when we can get to it. But Ryan, we're going to Google gun control today. Are you ready for that?
Let's get to it.
Let's do it on the fly. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Gun control. We're going to see what pops up. I'm going to guess. Yeah, and I was right. It was Florida State. It was all FSU. And oh, good heavens. Let's take a look at what we got here. Ryan, we'll go through some headlines, and we'll talk about them throughout the hour. But, and again, that's going to be Florida-centric. Tallahassee Democrat. Enough is enough. Florida State University students protest gun laws after shooting 43 minutes ago. That's fairly new. You want to go there?
Let's go.
Let's go there. Enough is enough. Florida State University students protest gun laws after shooting. We're not asking for anything radical. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first we're seeing this. We're looking at this together with you live. We're not asking for anything radical. We're asking to put public safety first, to put our lives first, said Andre Perez, president of the Students Demand Action chapter at FSU. Well, there you have it, Ryan. We're not asking for anything radical. Well, the Parkland bill failed them miserably. What else do you think they might ask for? We'll tear through this piece here, but I'm just curious up front before we go into this. What do you think?
Look, if I could stand in front of this student who's been indoctrinated probably through his K through 12 years, and to the point now that he believes that his highest calling in life is that of activist, student activist, rather than contributing to society, I would ask him, which law, which additional gun control law would have prevented what happened at FSU last week? It's unfortunate what happened. We lament it happened. I pray for those families. I know what they're going through right now, and I wish it hadn't happened. But what additional law, sir, would have prevented that tragedy from happening? I'll wait for your answer.
You won't get one, but now, obviously, we can't show you the photograph that accompanies the Tallahassee Democrat. You can go look at it. Let me read this headline again. I think it's important, Ryan, because there's a photograph accompanying this at the very top. Enough is enough. Florida State University students protest gun laws after shooting. We're not asking, this is a subhead, we're not asking for anything radical. Now, I'll stop there because when you go to the photograph below, there's a young girl holding a sign that says, "Take away your guns, not our lives, never again." That's not radical, is it? Is she asking for something radical with that sign she's holding? Yeah, I would guess so.
Yeah, they absolutely are, Mark. What they look, they want to appear reasonable and objective and whatever, right? But at the end of the day, the only thing that would actually have worked in this case is an absolute 100% ban on firearms, right, for the entire United States, which we know is unrealistic. It isn't going to happen, and it is in fact radical, because you're asking us to ignore the Constitution of the United States, which all gun control laws ultimately are in contradiction to the Second Amendment and the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. So we know that you are asking, number one, for something radical. And second, are you also suggesting we disarm law enforcement? Because you'll remember the source of that firearm, unfortunately, and I'm sure this deputy is lamenting leaving that firearm unaccompanied, but that was a service revolver or service pistol that belonged to law enforcement. So, sir, are you asking us to, and again, you claim it's not radical, but are you asking us to disarm and defund the police of the United States? Because that sounds pretty radical to me.
Yeah, there's a whole series of photographs here, about 36 photos. We'll go through some of these. I'm doing that while I was listening to you, and it is radical. But folks, when you hear that they don't want radical change, I want you to listen to some of these signs, because they're just slogans. They're colloquialisms. They're just little slogans. But there's something interesting here that I'm noticing as we go through this. About 200 marchers. Aren't there 45,000 students up there?
Something like that, yes.
So 200 marchers. Mathematically speaking, that's not even statistically significant. I do want to point that out. And the way this is written over at the Tallahassee Democrat, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about this every day because we have to. If we don't, they get away with it, and we're not going to let them. We call them out. It's not our fault that they force us to talk about this every single day, but when they do, we will respond. It's that simple. And here we got, following a shooting on campus, around 200 Florida State University students marched to the state capitol to protest gun violence. Students voiced their concerns over lawmakers' inaction on gun control, particularly given recent legislative moves to ease gun restrictions. None of which worked at Florida State, by the way. There's that, but they won't go into that because it doesn't feed their agenda. And the demonstration comes as Florida experiences a rise in mass shootings, with the FSU incident being the 5th in the state this year. I'm not familiar with 4 others. Are you?
I have seen a statistic. They claim there's been 4 others. I could only find 2 university shootings this year, and none of them are of the type that most people believe are mass shootings, mass public shootings in the definition that Dr. Lott and serious researchers use, Mark, which which is a targeted attack where victims are killed. And most of the other is just, either crime-related, firearms activity on campus, or, drug-related or accidental, right? So where they get their numbers, they make their numbers up. They make them up.
Yeah, they come from Gun Violence Archive or whatever. They find something in a news report and they use it. So we'll go through a couple of these signs. You can tell these are liberal, radical kids. You can tell by looking at them. And one of the signs, you got some young guy, Florida State sweatshirt. Not sure why he's wearing a sweatshirt at this time of year, but nonetheless. Protect kids, not guns. No solution, just some stupid slogan. Protect kids, not guns. I'm not sure what that means. In a world with gun reform, we'd all be in class. There's an idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these marchers are all wearing, and these are not students, these are old ladies, wearing shirts that say March for Our Lives and Moms Demand Action. Guns are the #1 killer of our youth. That's a false statement on the mom sign. Thoughts and prayers are not enough. The scariest thing in school should be my grades. Well, maybe you shouldn't be in college if that's the way you feel. And here you have the shaved head liberal wearing the mask. The woman. Can't really tell what she is. Students demand action. Students over guns. So I'm not sure What are they saying there? We have 30 seconds. I'll let you take that to the break. Then we'll go through some more of these signs because they're interesting, quite frankly.
Look, they're all 100% wrong and ignorant of what happened last week. And unfortunately, a firearm got into the hands, a law enforcement firearm, nonetheless, got into the hands of a deranged lunatic who decided to go onto campus and kill people. But let's not forget, Mark, what we found out last week. Many of the students realized their classrooms didn't lock. And I had a friend whose daughter...
Hold on to that. I forgot about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. You and I talked about that personally off air. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, wait till you hear this. We're talking with Ryan Petty, Parkland father Ryan Petty. Knows a little bit about this. Yeah, he does. A lot more than these kids do, believe it or not. We'll be back with Ryan right after the break. Don't go away.
American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Indeed. Welcome back. Mark Walters in the 6 Hour Studios with you. Garbage Day at the Ranch on a Wednesday here in Georgia. It's a Wednesday everywhere, unless you're across the international date line or something like that. But here in the United States, it's a Wednesday. That means it's a garbage day here at the ranch and at Ryan Petty's ranch. Welcome back in. X Insurance presenting it all, and I'm sitting in front of this Patriot Mobile microphone. Please make sure to visit all of our partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. More about them coming up in just a few minutes. Ryan Petty, welcome back in, brother. So as I look through some of these signs, here's one that's really interesting to me. Well, you know what? Let's go to the doors locking first, then we'll go back to these signs because you mentioned that before we went to the break. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't do a very good job of leading into the point I want to make, but here's what we learned in the days subsequent to the attack at FSU. Stories were reported, the Floridian Press, that students were finding that they could not lock their classroom doors. So as this gunman is walking around campus, attacking other students, many of these students who have been trained, who have been through the Florida protocols in K through 12, knew what to do. And they tried to lock their classroom doors and couldn't, because apparently in many of the buildings in Florida State, you can't lock your classroom doors. We know locking classroom doors and preventing access saves lives.
Okay, wait,
we know
stop.
that.
Let me stop you. Were the doors broken?
They were not broken.
So why
there
didn't
was
they
no
lock it?
ability for those students to lock those doors. They had no ability to lock the doors. Every school classroom in K through 12 in the state of Florida has the ability to lock the classroom, and it's standard operating procedure. If there's a threat to the school, that those doors get locked immediately. And the students also then know how to shelter in place, how to get to a safe area within the classroom, and that mitigates the harm. And these students knew what to do, but the building wasn't equipped. So that's something that needs to be remedied. And I'm going to tell you another story. So a good friend of mine, her daughter was in that situation, and a couple of students came into her classroom and said, "Hey, there's a shooter outside." And what did the professor do? The professor said, "Well, I guess you're all free to go." He was going to let them out into the hallway and out into the campus while there's an active shooter in place. The training is another thing. These teachers and administrators and some of the security personnel didn't know what to do in this situation. And so these are the things that actually save lives. Nothing on those signs, Mark, would have saved a single life at FSU last week. But everything I just rattled off in the last 30 seconds would have saved lives.
All right. Well, that's interesting because I don't see students with signs, at least in the 36 photos that I looked at, that said provide locks on our doors. Locked doors save lives. I didn't see anything like that. Now, you would think that if there were students in classes, they knew they couldn't lock those doors, they would be, I don't know, maybe they'd be marching over that. That's a pretty important thing, wouldn't you think?
It is an important thing, but this is the point, Mark. They've been indoctrinated as they've gone through the the K through 12 system, and they've been indoctrinated by the media, movies, Hollywood, Instagram, social media. All of these things have told them that gun control is the solution to all of our nation's problems. And so what do? They look to gun control rather than using their brains, which is why we send them to university so that they can learn and learn to think. Rather than doing that, they're just parroting back the things that they've heard on TV and in social media.
Just a bunch of nonsense. Now, there's a sign here that I have never seen before. Somebody drew looks like the scales of justice, right? And it's being weighed down on the left side. And on the left side is an AR-15, all decked out. Looks like a pretty nice gun if it were real. And over to the right, it looks like three little heads and bodies, little, crude drawings of people. And underneath it says pro-life, ? Exclamation point, in red and black. Now, remind me again, was an AR-15 used at Florida State?
No, apparently the shooter had access to an AR-15, a shotgun, and a handgun. But my understanding is at least initial reports were that all of the shots and the students that were killed and or injured were done through the handgun.
Okay. So screaming, again, remember at the beginning, at the outset, I said, we're not asking for anything radical. Yet here's an AR-15. Pro-life? Okay. Because there was no AR-15 use, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just remind you of that. Again, thoughts and prayers can't stop bullets. Here we go. Thoughts and prayers can't stop bullets. A number of those. When is the last time? When is the last I love you? Somebody draws out a fake text. Let's see. Protect kids, not guns. I'm looking for something that has some substance to it. And, well, gosh, I don't see any. Students demand action is one sign. They're all these signs are basically the same. Students over guns. Protect us, not guns. Would you rather lose your gun or your child? Let's tackle that one for a moment. Because that goes to, Ryan, the folks that think schools are safer if I empty my safe out and give my guns to law enforcement. Here you go. Take all my guns out of my safe in my home and give them to my local sheriff. And now I guess the elementary school where my kids went to school is safer because all of my guns are out of my safe. That's what they're trying to convey here. But it misses the mark big time, doesn't it?
Oh, it's a false. It's a false choice. It's just a false choice. The kids in the elementary schools and schools around me are no less safe because I own firearms.
Correct.
That's just not a choice that we have to make. It's a false choice. So the point is, they've been indoctrinated to believe that somebody needs to take away all the bad guns and that they will then be safe. But what none of them are standing up and doing, and I'm disappointed to not see this more. And I know there are students at FSU that believe this and understand this, and they're probably either studying or have jobs, or in class. Unlike these kids, what they would tell you is, give me the ability to defend myself. I should be able to carry a firearm. I'm 21 years old. I should be able to carry a firearm on this campus so that I can defend myself should a lunatic come on the campus and decide to kill people. That's another thing that we could do for those university students is they have the right to protect themselves. They don't currently have the legal ability to do so.
And again, on a university with 44,000 people, there are 200 here, roughly. And if what I'm looking at is what it is, it's an exaggeration
30.
anyway. But we'll take it to the break with this because this is a good sign to close with. I saw this at the outset, and here it is again. Take away your guns, not our lives. So if you take away my guns, she believes she's safe. Take away the guns from the guy that lives over at 114 East Main Street, who's never had as much as a traffic ticket. Whew, thank God they got his guns. Now I'm safe. It is a false choice. It's a lie. These kids have been sold a bill of goods. And it's really sad to see, ladies and gentlemen. It really, truly is. But you have multiple stories on this little march in Florida where 200 kids showed up, while, as Ryan just pointed out, the other 44,300 kids are all in class.
15.
We'll be back. 2 more segments to go with Ryan on a garbage day. Don't go away.
Daniel Defense firearms are guaranteed for life, trusted worldwide, and designed, engineered, and manufactured right here in America. Daniel Defense, freedom, passion, precision.
Yeah, Daniel Defense is freedom, passion, and precision. Did you get in on that raffle yesterday? Oh, good heavens, I did. Yeah, I picked up the 5 tickets for $100. Oh, I would love to win that package. That was the HD9 pistol, but that's history. So if you still want to see the HD9 pistol, just visit DanielDefense.com and pick one up, DanielDefense.com. I'll be hanging with those boys and girls over there for a little bit coming up this weekend at the National Rifle Association annual meeting and convention in Atlanta, and hope to see you there. If you're going to be there, look for me, look for Ryan Petty. We'll be palling around together. We'll be with Dr. John Lott at his booth. We'll be at Patriot Mobile, Ammo Squared, Crossbreed, North American Arms, SIG. We'll be with all of them. Car Arms will be hanging out. Justin Moon will be there. So come by, shake our paw. We'll be there, but we'll be doing some interviews with everybody there as well. So check us out at the National Rifle Association annual meetings. Ryan, welcome back in, brother. So, I guess I'm going to put let's call it an exclamation point maybe on this. Are these students indicative of the way all the kids on campus feel? Or does this media just portray it that way?
I think they're the most obvious and outspoken students, or some of the most, obvious and outspoken students. And if you're a reporter looking to further a narrative, you're going to go find students like this out there hanging, cheering on their favorite leftist ideology or cause of the day. So that's why they get the media attention. They know it gets them on TV for 15 minutes, and they get to put a snazzy sign up that doesn't mean anything. And quite frankly, for those of us who have lived through, school attacks and have made it a mission to try to secure schools, the stuff I was talking about before, look, I was on calls earlier today. Most folks hadn't heard the story about the not having locks on the school doors.
I didn't
Most
until you
people
told
hadn't-
me. I was shocked, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. When Ryan told me that on a personal conversation, I was blown away. Go ahead. Sorry.
Most people didn't know that the teachers, professors hadn't been trained on what to do. These are things that actually will mean something, will protect the lives of somebody's loved one, whether that be an educator or a student there at FSU. There's a lot of work to be done in this regard. And what really makes me angry about this, Mark, is it's not just the ignorance, it's the distraction from what we could do. If we learned anything from Parkland, there is a lot that we can agree on, number one, and a lot that we could do to protect our schools. And we're not doing those because these clowns want to have a Second Amendment argument.
Well, they claim they don't. Let me read from the Tallahassee Democrat. This is from Lori Berman, a Democrat, of course, out of Delray Beach. You are the generation. You can hear her in a bullhorn saying this, right? You are the generation brought up on lockdown drills and mass shooting headlines. You are tired. You are furious. This is your moment, your message, your time to say enough is enough. Okay. Tell me what you want to do. No, they don't. The students request the Florida legislature to work on legislation that, hey, get this, requires lockable doors on all university classrooms. Right there. Number one. Number two, mandates active shooter response training for professors and teaching assistants. Number three, increases funding for mental health intervention. Number four, here we go to guns, mandates stricter safe storage laws of firearms in households with minors and individuals who cannot legally obtain firearms. And number five, stops passage of legislation that weakens gun safety laws. Now, here's that Andre Perez kid. We're not asking for anything radical. We're asking to put public safety first. We're not asking to get rid of the Second Amendment. We're asking to put public safety first and foremost, whether that be regulations or whatever. Sounds like a typical kid. I'm surprised he or she, Anders, don't know who it is, didn't say like in there somewhere. Like, we're asking to put like public safety first and foremost, like whether that be regulations, like, or whatever. But no, but you can hear that in there. Now, let's break down those five that they mentioned. Require lockable doors on all university classrooms. I can agree with that. Can you?
Absolutely. Makes sense.
Mandate active shooter response training for professors and teaching assistants.
That works.
Increase funding for mental health intervention.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they can absolutely do that. There's lots of resources available, but if they want to put some more funding into making sure students are aware of it and how to take, how to avail themselves of the services, fine.
Mandate stricter safe storage laws of firearms in households with minors and individuals who cannot legally obtain firearms. Now, this is interesting because the kid wasn't a minor. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, 18 years old is majority age in this country. Florida treats 18, 19, and 20-year-olds as minors. They are not minors. At 18 years old, you can tell your parents to bug off. You can move out. You can buy a car, a house, get married. You can do whatever you want to do at 18 years old. So how do you handle that one?
Look, it's already a crime to leave a firearm in the state of Florida. It's already a crime to leave a firearm where a minor might have access to it and
Is
take
a
possession of it.
20-year-old a
It's al-
minor?
No, but it's already a crime, Mark. So it's, what they want is to force us as gun owners
Here we go.
to separate our firearms from our ammunition and to lock them into different cabinets and have multiple combinations and thereby rendering these firearms and the ammunition that we might have as law-abiding gun owners useless at the time when they're needed most. That's their ultimate goal. Safe storage, government mandated safe storage is nothing more than rendering your firearms and your Second Amendment rights inert.
My home is my safe, Ryan. I have a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old living in my home. Both of my kids have been very well trained on firearms over the years, as you can imagine. One chooses to carry one, one does not, but does from time to time. We're working on that right now. But when I hear mandate stricter safe storage laws of firearms in households, my home is my safe. My home is locked from anyone who shouldn't have access to my gun. Anyone in my home, including my 20-year-old, that needs access to that firearm, I want to have access to that firearm. That's my business, not the state's. Yes or no?
I would agree with that.
All right. So we can beat that one all day long, ladies and gentlemen. You know where we're going with this. Stops passage of legislation that weakens gun safety laws. So that means more gun control. At the very least, I could read into that, well, not repealing, for example, the parts of the Parkland bill that didn't stop anybody from doing anything, and maybe leaving something status quo. But that's not enough because they're carrying signs, even though this Anders says, we're not proposing anything radical, yet take away your guns, not my life. That's pretty radical. We're just asking to put public safety first and foremost. So that should be done through laws. And I assume that this kid in Florida broke every law imaginable, stole a gun from his mother that belonged to her as a deputy. That's a crime. Used it during the commission of felonies. That's a crime. Committed murder. That's a crime. Committed aggravated assault, aggravated battery. That's a crime. So I'm not sure, other than the goofy signs, what else it is they want. But I would promise you this, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong, Ryan. If you were to ask every one of these kids if they wanted you to give up your guns, every one of them would say yes.
Yeah, they would, and they would claim that I don't care about kids because they've done it before.
There you go.
You know, I don't care about kids, and I care more about my guns than I do my own daughter, which is what some have accused me of.
Yeah.
Mark, you forgot one crime, though. I need to point out. You forgot one crime that the killer committed. He took a gun into a gun-free zone.
Oh, the gun-free zone,
That-
yeah. Oh, well, thanks. I was remiss in not mentioning that. We're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, we'll cover that one. And then we'll look through some more of these headlines on here, ladies and gentlemen, and see what else pops up. Well, because WTSP in the Tampa area pretty much has the headline right. FSU students are calling for more gun control.
20.
WTXL ABC 27. Students rally for more gun control at the steps of the Capitol. Whew. We'll read some more headlines and break out whatever we feel like. We'll be back with Ryan. One more segment to go on a garbage day.
Brought to you by Daniel Defense. Visit DanielDefense.com. Now, back to the show.
Indeed, back to the show. Final segment, Armed American Radio, live at the ranch with you. Ryan Petty joining us here in the Sig Sauer studios. Yes, I'm going to be spending some time with Ryan this weekend at the National Rifle Association Convention. I hope we're going to see you there as well. If you are there, look for us. We will be roaming around. You know our partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com and just find those booths. And that's where you'll see us bopping all over the place. Ryan will be there with me. Speaking of those partners, make sure to visit them, please, at armedamericanradio.com. You can find them all there. ammosquared.com. Today is a Wednesday. Every garbage day at the ranch, I get my email. You've got ammo. I love it. Just watching it stack. And I just can't bring myself to have any of it shipped yet because I love knowing that it's there stacking up. And the Wednesdays, sadly, just keep flying right by. And when they do, well, I get that email. You can do the same thing, ammosquared.com. And have you activated a Patriot mobile phone yet? There's one of my 2 Patriot mobile phones. Put that over there so she charges up because I need it after the show. patriotmobile.com/AAR. And guess what? You get a free month of service by doing that. And you can meet us with Patriot Mobile this weekend at the National Rifle Association meeting. We will be there at the booth along with many others. So make sure to check that out. And don't forget BarrelBuddy.com, BarrelBuddy.com, Daniel Defense, North American Arms, Car Arms, Sig Sauer. They will all be at the National Rifle Association meeting coming up this week. So stop by, say hello to us, and come meet our sponsors with us over there and support them. They make the show possible every single day. Ryan Petty, welcome back in, brother. One more segment to go with you. I was looking over some of the rest of this, some of these headlines here, and they're all the same thing, except there's one about where gun control stands in the Canadian federal election, which I guess it hasn't been that big of a deal. But you got to love these headlines. Were 2 people dead not enough? FSU students urge for stricter gun laws after mass shooting. But they never tell us what it is. They just tell us it's not going to be radical. We've already highlighted that and pointed it out. So I'll let you put an exclamation point on Florida State, and then I want to go to Governor Whitmer. Oh, Gretsch up in Michigan screaming for more Michigan gun control. I wonder why. We'll go there in just a second. Ryan, take it away.
Look, I say this after every one of these unfortunate tragedies. We spend far too much time debating gun control rather than having the conversation we should be having, which is about the practical, pragmatic, and proven things that we can do to protect our schools, not the least of which is allowing these students at the university level who are adults to protect and defend themselves. We have no right as Americans to deny another citizen the right to defend himself or herself, and we should let them do that. We should stop with this nonsense of gun-free zones. They're not... These attackers target these gun-free zones precisely because they know they're less likely to meet armed resistance. We need to take that away from them. If you want to see these things stop immediately, make these gun-full zones.
Yeah, it's not hard to do, ladies and gentlemen. It's been proven time and time again. And as I mentioned yesterday and the day before, and I will continue to mention, Florida, you need only look north to your neighbors. It's been wildly successful here in the state of Georgia and pretty much every other state that it's happened. On Tuesday, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Ryan, pushed for more gun control in her state, claiming, again, here we go with this sad lie, guns are the #1 killer of young people in America. Now, AWR has debunked that multiple times, and she was in Lansing with members of the gun control lobby who, Moms Demand Action, again, out there lying for their annual advocacy day. And here's the tweet that she put out. Guns are the #1 killer of young people in America. Let that sink in. Not car accidents, not cancer. Guns. Thoughts and prayers won't cut it, and waiting on Washington won't either. We owe it to victims, survivors, parents, teachers, and students to end this epidemic. You see the talking points in here, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan, you want to comment on that before I go to the Giffords and a tweet they put out?
Yeah, this is all, you have to be very careful when you read these and parse them carefully, as Mark does on the air. The words they choose are very deliberate. Words like epidemic harken back to pandemic, and these are leftist authoritarians who would love to see nothing more than our federal government do what it did during the pandemic and implement gun control because they believe it's a public health emergency.
Is it a public health emergency, Ryan? for the umpteenth time?
No, sir, it is not.
But they want to frame it that way, because if they frame it that way, see, that's what we go all the way back to Obamacare with that one. We knew what he was up to with that. Fortunately, for the most part, we were able to stop him, but not so much Obamacare. So we're talking about the National Rifle Association meeting. I'm going to see you there Friday and Saturday. And Giffords just 3 hours ago put out a tweet. Donald Trump is skipping the NRA's annual convention tomorrow for the first time since 2015. Trump would never skip this if he thought it would help him. The NRA is floundering, and it shows. How do you respond? How do you respond to that? Oh boy!
You know, I saw that tweet, Mark, and I thought about
it. Okay.
I did, and I thought, what? I guess I could point out that this is the first time I am going. I don't know if I make up for Trump not being there, but no, they're not floundering. Look, they were attacked. What has the NRA done some things that I find questionable? Yeah, we've been through that. Right. I think it's water under the bridge. I think the organization is trying to heal itself, mend itself, repair itself and its reputation. I think they're working hard to do that. We need a strong and vibrant NRA. I love all of these other organizations. They all play a role in defending our Second Amendment rights, but the NRA was a powerhouse at fundraising and getting the grassroots gun owner involved in politics and protecting and defending the Second Amendment. We need a strong NRA. And I think you could talk to any of the gun advocacy groups across the country, and without exception, they would echo what I just said. We need a strong NRA. I'm going to support the NRA, and I hope that they return to the strength of membership that they had in the past.
That's going to be a while, and I think that's going to be a stretch. We'll have a lot to talk about with that on that topic, ladies and gentlemen, after Sunday. This will be the first NRA convention that I've attended in 4 years, I do believe. I had my issues with NRA, made that very clear, very clear. It looks like they're rebooting themselves. Did I hear you say this is the first time you're attending an NRA?
This is my first one.
Okay, I'm honored to be hanging with you on Friday and Saturday. In fact, you and I and a couple others that are friends of this radio program, including Dr. John Adine from Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership, a lot of us are staying in the same hotel, and we will undoubtedly have a lot to cover on Sunday after this convention. Ryan, we're wrapping up right now. I'll give you the final word. You got 20 seconds. What's the final word to the FSU kids?
Look, I know you were told your entire lives that the best use of your lives is to become an activist and influence politics. I can tell you nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing gives me more satisfaction than being a good husband and a good father and raising a good family and being a productive citizen in this country, the greatest country on God's green earth.
That allows you the opportunity to live on a ranch, and a beautiful one. Ryan Petty, Parkland Dad, thanks for being here. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend. We'll be spending a lot of time together. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to be in Atlanta for the National Rifle Association Convention, look us up. We'll be all over the place. Find Armed American Radio partners at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Take your pick your poison, and just find them. We'll be there all over the place. You'll run into us there. Looking forward to shaking your paw. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. We'll be here to respond to their nonsense, as always. Until we meet on the radio, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever done it. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Do appreciate it. Don't know why X didn't have the live stream up, but that was on their side, not on ours. Anyway, we'll be back at you live again tomorrow. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it. And reminder, if you're going to be at the NRA convention, it's real simple. Just look for us. You know, John Lott's got a little booth over there. Look for that booth. Find us any of our partner booths. Just hit those booths, and you'll run into us. I can promise you that. and we'll be having a good time together walking that floor, and hope to meet you there and shake your paw. We'll be pushing that as we get closer and closer to Friday, which is only 2 sleeps away. So enjoy your day. Stay safe. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.